We started? Yeah. Great.
En vivo.
We're gonna start. Daisy, yeah?
En vivo, sí, ya está en vivo.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. And thanks to all our audience for accompanying us this evening. That is actually very special. We from Tusanaje project are really glad and honored to be here introducing this list of amazing professors and scholars that are gathered here tonight for talking about this very, very special topic that actually is not very well known for our people in Peru. That is this historical connection between Okinawa and China, especially Fujian, what is now Okinawa Island, part of Japan, and Fujian province, part of the People's Republic of China. So for this, we have prepared a really interesting program that actually was designed by our dear friend, Jose Feliciano Nishikawa, who actually is part of this list of scholars that tonight gonna present this topic to us. So I just wanna say that we are so glad of being here with you guys, and we are so glad of introducing probably this topic for first time for our Peruvian community. Actually, this is an opportunity to, again, think profoundly about the common roots we Chinese descendants and Japanese descendants have. So, well, I'm gonna start introducing the first of our special guests. First of all, here we have or Professor Zhen Han, or Maya Chen. She's a professional Chinese language teacher for overseas students, graduated from Nankai University, worked in Xiamen University in China, in Fiji, Indonesia, Germany, the UK, and Malta under the Sinology faculty or Confucius Institute. Her hobbies are reading, dance, painting, traveling, and so on. Professor Chen, welcome.
Thank you very much, Jose. And first of all, please accept my sincere apology for such a problem. I have no excuse, just it is terrible to waste everybody's time. So I'm terribly sorry. Okay, now let's start. Since I think something altered on my laptop, so I just have to use it like this. So please allow me to share the screen, the host. Is it working? Yes, thank you. Is it working? Is it sharing? It's not, I'm not allowed to share it.
Yeah, we're working on it.
Oh, thank you.
Please, ¿puedes? O dame host. Okay, now it's allowed, Professor.
Okay. Yes, working, right? Thank you. Good morning, afternoon, or evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Zhen Han, or Maya, speaking from China. Today, I'm very honored and I'm terribly sorry for such an accident. Okay, so now let's get to the topic. The very basic information about Fujian province. Okay, so when we talk about Fujian, let's see where it is located. Fujian province is located on the southeast coast of mainland China. It faces Taiwan on the west bank of the Pacific. If we compare it to the other provinces in China, we call it a small province because its total area is only 124 square kilometers. And the population in 2021 was 41.5 million. So it's comparatively quite small. Okay. Despite it is so small, let's move to the geographical map of Fujian province. Okay, now look, this area is full of mountains and rivers, as well as the sea. So it makes a paradise for tourists and photographers. But meanwhile, transportation and communication was really hard in the past. And please remember, this is the main force to form the local culture. Okay, so the natural environment is the main force to form the Fujian culture. Nowadays, when people talk about Fujian province, most people would name some cities like Fuzhou, the capital city, Quanzhou, the beautiful mixture of cultures, and Xiamen, the special economic zone. Okay, so let's see. Fuzhou used to be a very big international airport in the history, particularly in Yuan and Ming Dynasty. Yes. It attracted all sailors, businessmen, even politicians and artists from all over the world. So Fuzhou is actually a big mixture of everything, all cultures and people. Nowadays, it is, as the capital city, it is the center for politics and transportation in Fujian province. Okay. Now, on the south coast of Fujian, there is a unique young city, Xiamen. It is much, much younger than Fuzhou, but Xiamen is now becoming the center for education and the arts. So the most famous part in Xiamen is Gulanyu, the island of music, because on such a small island of only 1.77 square kilometer, there are hundreds of pianos on that island, and it enjoys the best musical band in China. So Gulanyu is a pride for Xiamen. Okay, and another pride for Xiamen is Xiamen University. Okay, it is one of the key universities in China, and the campus is said to be one of the most beautiful in the world. So when you come over to Xiamen, make sure you spare 1 or 2 days for those interesting places. Now, north to Xiamen, there is a very beautiful city called Quanzhou. Okay, Quanzhou was also a big international port in history, and because it had all immigrants from all over the world, so people just take it as quite natural, like we just live in diversity. Okay, now look, in this picture, you see a Buddhist pagoda, a Catholic church, a mosque, and all the historical sites. Okay, so in Quanzhou, people just say, you go your way, I go my way, and we are all good. Okay, so Quanzhou is actually a big variety of all cultures. You always find something new in Quanzhou, no matter how long you live there. Okay. And the other attractions about Fujian are like the local opera is actually the window to take a glimpse to the local culture. And the operas in Fujian actually contains a lot of ancient elements in the language and in the music. So we call it a kind of like a cultural fossil, okay? And the symbolic way of acting, you may find it somewhat similar to the operas in Japan. So there is a lot to study about the operas. And I will leave the story of the earth indwellers for the later topic, the Hakka, like the Hakka people. And if you travel to Wuyishan area, you will be attracted for something quite mysterious. That is the suspended coffins on the cliff, which is hundreds of meters above the ground. And they could be traced back to about 3,000 years ago. So just imagine, how did people manage to have those things lifted on the cliff? Okay, so this is always an attraction to tourists and to anthropologists. Okay, now let's see. I think wherever you travel to, I think the most attractive part of the place is the local people. Okay, so and you will find unique elements in Fujian as well. Now look at the photo on the left. These ladies are dressed in a very colorful and beautiful way, and they are from Hui'an area, which is a place for fishing industry. So local people say, if you study a woman's dressing code and you see everything about her family background and the family tradition. So actually, the dressing code for women in that place is a good topic for research work. And they also got very unique traditions, like a single women's club, or say single women's welfare system. So try to explore the Hui'an culture, and you will find amazing things. Okay. And the photo on the right is a Hakka family. Actually, the Hakkas originated from North China, and they migrated to the south and married local people. So they are actually a kind of mixed blood, and but still they keep some northern features. I think the guy on the right got a very typical northern facial features. Okay, we will come to the topic of the Hakkas later on. The language in Fujian province is the most complicated picture in China. Despite we call it a small province, but there are hundreds of dialects in Fujian. So just because it was so mountainous, and in the past, climb over a mountain may take you a day. So communication was really, really hard. That way, each village developed a kind of system for pronunciation and vocabulary, and the language differs from place to place. So local people have the saying, just climb over the mountain and you will become an alien. Okay. Now, let's come to the cultural part, the religions and folkways in Fujian. Okay. Actually, in Fujian provinces, you find all the big religions in the world. But since time is limited, let's just see some points about the local belief. Okay. This photo, the photo on the top left corner is a Hakka family. They are paying respect to their ancestors, which is an important part of daily routines for the Confucianists. Actually, you find Confucianists everywhere in China, but the people in Fujian particularly attach importance to the respect to their ancestors. So they never failed to turn up for any family ceremonies because they think without their ancestors, there will be no way to have them in the world. Okay. So the photo on the top right corner is the statue of Mazu. Mazu was actually a fishing girl. She was an example of virtues. After she died, she was worshipped as the goddess of the sea, and fishermen prayed to her for safety and bless. Okay, and the photo on the bottom left corner is an interesting local festival in Fujian province in the coastal area. It is on July 17th by the lunar calendar. As you can imagine, in the past, making a living on the sea was nothing easy at all without the GPS and the weather forecast. Okay, so actually a lot of fishermen lost their life on the sea, and to the family, it is always a pain. So in memory of the homeless souls who died on the sea, local people started a festival to entertain the hungry ghosts. On that day, they gave food, paper money, and best wishes to the homeless ones who are floating on the sea, I mean the souls. It's not necessarily only to their family members, but also to all the ones who need some care and love. So actually, this is the spirit of charity, okay? And the last photo is the God of Fortune. People in China respect this god everywhere, but he is particularly important to the business class and in the south part of China. So in Fujian province, almost in every family, at the most important position of the house, you will see a statue of the God of Fortune. And people believe praying to him will bring you good luck and prosperity, okay? Sorry. Now, the big story about the Hakka people. Okay, Hakka in the local language means the guests or the immigrants, because at ancient time, they actually lived in North China. But since the late Tang Dynasty, there were a lot of civil war in the north. So some prominent families like the Chen, the Huang families decided to move to the south for a peaceful life. And they took the family, traveled on and on until they reached the deep mountains in the joint part of Fujian, Jiangxi, and Guangdong province. They were able to settle down in the virgin land over there. Life was not easy at all, but they started from zero, had their family, built up their buildings, and settled down. It's not always a peaceful life. Sometimes they got conflict with local people and they had to fight. So the earthen dwellers actually served as their castle. The whole clan who take the same surname live in the same dweller. So when they're in their everyday life, they help each other, discuss the family issues, and try to contribute to the wellness of the clan. And at crisis, they will just unite together to fight against the outsiders. So actually, the dweller is it's like a small Chinese society. You find everything in each of the dwellers. Okay, so when more and more people flooded to the south, life got harder and harder, and some of them decided to move again. So a big number of people migrated from Fujian to Southeast Asia and further, and some of them chose the North Way and may have reached the islands of Japan and Korea. Okay, and by the way, in the year of 1392, that was in Ming Dynasty, the emperor decided to move 36 families from Fujian to Okinawa. Those people settled down there and gradually joined all trades of the social life. Okay, I will leave this topic to the other speakers. Okay. Now, about the cuisines the cuisine is always an attraction, okay? And in Fujian, it is exactly the case. If you live by the mountain, you eat the products from the earth. And if you live by the sea, you enjoy the seafood, Okay, both of them are really delicious and nutritious. Okay, of course, the best way to study the cuisine is to come and taste it by yourself. Okay, so whenever you have the time and interest, you're always welcome to come over to Fujian and start your exploration of China from here. And I will be a good hostess. Okay. Thank you very much for your attention. And once again, my sincere apology for such a trouble. I'm terribly sorry about it. Okay, please pardon me for that, everybody. Thank you. Now let me pass it to next speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Chen. Actually, it was an amazing way to have an introduction to the Fujian culture. Now, it's the time of Professor Natsuki Teruya. She is going to give us a review of Okinawa culture. So let me say some few words about her. Natsuki is originally from Okinawa. She earned a Master of Musicology degree in Kyoto City University of Arts and was a PhD candidate in the same university until 2017. Her main research topic includes Okinawan music and its relationship with peace. Her main instruments include piano, vocal, and sanshin. Currently, she's the director of Piano Terakoya in Osaka. So, let me welcome our dear Natsuki Teruya. Professor Chen, is it possible to stop to share the screen, please?
Oh, yes, I did. I think I closed it. Sorry.
Don't worry. You know, in the below part, you have to enter to the...
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. And is it possible to give me the host, please? The host of the session?
To give it to the host?
Yeah, if you go to participants and you go to my name, and you're gonna find like a sky blue button saying more. You click on more and you click on make host.
I'll go to your name, Jose, and
my name is Rodrigo.
Oh, sorry, Rodrigo. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Rodrigo.
You more. And, yeah. You put the arrow on my name, and you're gonna find more. You click on more, and then you click on make. Yeah, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, Natsuki, please. You can share screen if you want. You can turn on your mic.
Hi, Wanne Natsuki Aibin. Chuya Yutashiku Unige Sabira. In Uchinanchu now. So, thank you for the chance today. So, okay. I'm Natsuki Teruya. I'm in Osaka now. So, there is my music atelier and music school. I'm owner and I'm a musician. So I show you Okinawan culture and music word you today. Okay. First of all, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I was born in Okinawa in 1985. My parents and grandparents are also from Okinawa. It's been 17 years since I came to Kansai. Very long time. When I came to Kansai, I had some culture shocks. For example, of language, difference of habit, people, food, and etc. Even now, I sometimes still feel confused. On the other hand, I heard that the Okinawan people who lived in Osaka after the Battle of Okinawa have experienced discrimination among the Japanese. Okay. There is less discrimination now rather than in the past. In the present, many Okinawan people live in the Kansai area, though some of them may not feel comfortable towards some other Japanese attitude. There are reasons for that. Okinawa was left with a very important unsettled matter by the Japanese government, not considering Okinawa as part of Japan. Okay. In Okinawa, there are many songs. So the people said the islands of songs and dances. And in Okinawa, the people living near the sea and near the sea and mountains, it is important for them to pray for poison and prosperity to the god of nature by singing songs, which are still sung in many rituals nowadays. On the other hand, many musicians compose new songs related to various situations through the ages from past world to the present time. Okay. So there are many you in the Okinawa song. You is the word. The word appears the old song and kyute ongaku and ryuka and ryukyu new praise worship songs and folk songs, pop songs. I noticed the word you today. You. What is you? Sorry. Oh, sorry. In Okinawa, there are many songs that are in a way related to situations through the ages, and they are singing a song with word this you. It is important concept in Okinawa. The word you has appeared in rituals and in the omorososhi, an official poetry compilation in the Ryukyu Kingdom era. The word you is used as one word or combined with another, like this one, changing error. Tunuyu is Chinese error, and Yamato no yu is Japanese error, and World War II, Ikusa no yu, America yu. Now, is it Okinawa yu, Uchina yu? The changing error is in Okinawan. Uchinaguchi is Yugawai. On the other hand, pray for God of nature is Miruku-yu. Miruku is in Japanese Miroku, Buddhist Miroku, and Miruku Yugafu, Yukui. You is image the photo, their photo. This is Obon and greeting for a father, and come together in the graves and Asa. This is the word world of you in Okinawa. You are an utopia and actual you. You has many meanings, error, the small world, and past, present, future. Life, God's spirit, poison, play. The many meanings. Okinawan people can image these meanings. So, Kadekaro Rinsho's song, that time goes by, use you. Let's listen. You. To know you, Chinese you, from to Yamato no you, to America you, to again Yamato no you, in these lyrics. The next song, this one. Sadoyama Yutaka, he is a folk singer. After Kadekaro Rinsho, many musicians are affected. The lyrics used you. He is singing a song in this one.
はい、佐渡山豊さんです。
町民チャンプルーにあしてびち豆腐チャンプルーにそう気分にうちな料理屋まさんの長生き渋さな売り神よドロンコ道のタンポポも春が来るのを待ってるよひとたびこの世に生まれたらあららがまだよ生きてやる遠ぬゆからやまとぬゆやまとぬゆからアメリカゆアメリカゆからまたやまとぬゆ昼間さかわいるくぬちな
To know you から Yamato no you, Yamato no you, America you, America you to again Yamato no you. His lyrics. The next song. This is Kudakajima. This is Milk Festival in Ishigaki. Pray for God to the nature. Pray for God to the nature of nature. In this song is Akata Sunrunchi. The lyrics Miruku Yugafu. Akata Sundunchi Kugani Duru Sagiti Uriga Kagariba Miruku Yugafu Miruku Unke Shiapu Mimimme Hijinto Iyunumi 大国のミルク、我が島に持ち、うかきぶせみしょり、ミルク湯が冬。This ティンサグの花、うち湯。宝玉やティン、磨かにばさびす。朝よちもみがち、うちゆわたら。The very, very famous song. Okinawan people can sing this song. Tinsagu no Hana and Akata Sundunchi. This is the new song. Noborikawa Seijin, Yutaka Bushi. The song is images of Okinawan peaceful world. 今歌わない。And this one, 漢方の声の草 is the Battle World War II songs. 戦の湯。The song is very famous too. In Okinawa, so there are many songs, and you, the word you, used the many songs, but the language, the problem is language, the problem. The musician use Uchinaguchi in Uchinaguchi appeared you, but Japanese song is not appeared you, only Uchinaguchi songs. So there are many songs in Okinawa by using word you. Musician and listening people thinking about now Okinawa. Has come Okinawa no you? Is now Okinawa you? Many people said not yet. Now. So finish. It's close my presentation.
Thank you so much, Natsuki. Thank you. It was so interesting, and it's amazing having a musician that is actually kind of scholar who give us other sensitivity, and that's really good. Thank you. Now we're gonna have an Uchinanchu journey across Beijing and Fuzhou by our dear friend Jose Feliciano Nishikawa. And I gotta say some few words about Jose. He's an Uchinanchu from Peru, MBA from China, Europe International Business School in China, postgraduate studies at University of Michigan, and Chinese studies at Peking University, recognized as a young sinologist by the Ministry of Culture of the People's Republic of China and the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences. Adelante, José.
Hello, hello everyone. Can you hear me? Yeah. Good night. Haisai Gusio Wangne Jose Yaibin Yuta Surugutu Negi Sabira. Hello everyone. My name is José. I'm from Peru, and as Rodrigo said, I will talk or give maybe a testimony about my Uchinanchu connection in Beijing and Fuzhou, especially because I used to live in China for 8 years. So as an Uchinanchu, it has something special in my story, right? So in the next minutes, I will basically talk in a very general way about the connection between Imperial China and the Ryukyu Kingdom. Also, I will talk about the legacy of the Ryukyu Kingdom in China, especially in terms of the monuments and the places that you can find in the cities that were the places where the Okinawans and the Chinese get together in order to do business, in order to exchange, in order to get educated. And last but not least, I will talk about some conclusions and reflections about the current relationship. So to start, we all know that back in the days, right, from 1429 to 1879, more or less, to 1879, these places or these islands were known as the Ryukyu Kingdom, right? And during that time, we basically in China have two of the most powerful and great dynasties of China, right? We have the Ming Dynasty and the Qing Dynasty that interact with the Ryukyu Kingdom. Of course, before that, there was also a lot of interactions, especially during different previous dynasties, right? You can see all this information as well, and I guess Rob will talk more about it in detail. But my main idea is just to give you some reflections and connections about China and the Ryukyu Kingdom in this period of time, right? So this connection was basically focused on the economic side, right? Especially for the international trade, you guys need to consider that China was the main economy of the world at that time, and as you can see, the area of the Ryukyu Kingdom was very limited, so they need to look for commercial and trading, right? There is also another reason, basically, for the political relationship. Of course, China allowed other states or other kingdoms to do trading with them only if they have an agreement before, right? So they need to be recognized as a tributary state in order to do all these exchanges with China. So there is a political reason in terms of the Ryukyu Kingdom to get in touch with the Chinese Empire, right? And last but not least, we need to consider that back in the days, China or the Chinese Empire was, of course, recognized as the society model or the benchmark, right? One of the greatest civilizations. So there was a need of the Ryukyu Kingdom to, approach to them and to learn from them and to try to generate more cooperation, right? Well, this is more or less the reasons that I just mentioned, right? Since Okinawa, the Ryukyu Kingdom was basically islands, so they need to look for markets, they need to look for technology, they need to look for talent, right? There is also this need of connection with China because, as I mentioned, right, it was the most advanced civilization at the time. And before the unification of the Ryukyu kingdoms, there were three small kingdoms, right? Hokusan, Chusan, and Nansan, right? And of course, the three of them start the connection with China. But we need to consider first is that most of the connection started with the commercial, with the trading, right? And as you can see in this picture, this is more or less the commercial routes that connect basically the Ryukyu kingdom with most of the main kingdoms in Asia. And since once the Ryukyu kingdom was recognized as a tributary state, they need to give tribute to the Chinese Empire, and they need to organize tributary missions to the capital of the empire. Right? In the case of the Ming Dynasty, of course, it was Nanjing, and later Beijing, and in the Qing Dynasty, mostly Beijing. Right? So as you can see in this small map, they depart from Naha in Okinawa, and the main entrance was in Guangzhou, right? As Professor Chang mentioned, right? It's also a very well known and important city in the coastal of Fujian. And from there, right, they moved to either Nanjing or Beijing, depending on where the capital was. And in terms of the cultural influence from China in the Okinawan culture, we find all of this. Of course, I think Rob will talk more in detail, so I will not speak that much about this. But I will focus more on the legacy of the Ryukyu Kingdom in China. That is mostly, and I want to give even my testimony on this, right? Because I think it's very interesting that for me as an Uchinanchu, fourth generation from Peru, there is many connections that happens, especially in my time in China. Of course, like as we see, right, there is almost 500 years of connection between the Ryukyu Kingdom and the Chinese empires, right, during the Ming and Qing dynasty, and there was a lot of exchange, right. People went to China in order to study, in order to do business. People from Okinawa, right. So most of them, even they stay many years there. They even travel around for different cities. So the main cities that see all this interaction were, like, for sure, like Guangzhou, Fuzhou, Nanjing, Hangzhou, Beijing, right? Guangzhou, like most of the cities in where you can see like this interaction between Ryukyu Kingdom people and Chinese people, right? So there were a lot of monuments that I would like to describe very quick, right? The first one, and I find it very interesting, is the Guoxijiang, which in simple words it was the Imperial College, right? Basically, I mean the translation in English of Guoxijiang is like the sons of the school of the sons of the state, right? So, or the Imperial College. So this college that was basically focused on forming and preparing the high talent of the empire in order to do the bureaucracy work and so on. It was where the elite of the empire was educated, right? So as part of the tributary agreements and also the recognition of as a tributary state, the Chinese empire gave the opportunity for some of the talent of the tributary states to come here and study in this place, right? So it is estimated, right, that between 1392 and 1868, right, around 100 students from the Ryukyu Kingdom came to study in this place, right, in Nanjing or Beijing, depending on the place where the capital was, right? So, for example, this is the Guoxijiang right now in Beijing, right? It's like it's located for the ones who have been in Beijing. It's located in near the Yonghegong Lama Temple, and it's actually to the west. If you go west to the Yonghegong Lama Temple, then you find the Confucius Temple, right? So this Guoxijiang was located just next to it, right? Because back in the days, they followed this concept of the school next to the temple, right? And in this place, something that is very interesting is that you can find in the west north part of this complex a Ryukyu school. So it was basically a building that was focused only for students from the Ryukyu Kingdom, and that talks about like the very interesting relationship that the Chinese Empire has with the Ryukyu Kingdom, right? This is Confucius, and this is more or less how it looks nowadays, right? I also had the chance to visit some years ago, and it was very interesting because and I want to share this also in terms of my story. the Fujian, they after some reforms at the end of the 19th century, it was replaced by the Peking University. So some years ago, I had the chance to study in Peking University for a year. And that makes me think, right, that maybe the story of the Uchinanchu, or the story of the Ryukyu Kingdom people or ancestors is still connected with this concept of the Fujian, right? The second monument that I want to share is the Ryukyu tombs in Beijing, especially in this district or this area located in Tongzhou. We talk about these tributary missions, right, that were very important and that leave from Okinawa, and they enter the China territory through Guangzhou, and then they need to go up north either to Nanjing or Beijing, where the capital of the empire was, right? And most of this travel was also using the Grand Canal, right, which is one of the most important engineering infrastructure constructions within the Chinese history, right? It was a channel of roughly 1,800 kilometers, right, that connect Hangzhou with Beijing, and is most of the trading and also the ships, cover all this route, right? And it was the same with the routes, with the ships of the Ryukyu Kingdom that went into the tributary missions to Beijing. They need to go through this place, right? And if you can see, I think it's very small, but the final, let's say, destination, or the final stop was near to Beijing was Tongzhou, right? And you can find the cemetery in this place, right? Because it's also connected with this story of the Ryukyu Kingdom, giving tributary missions to the Chinese Empire, right? So this place is located in Zhangjiazheng in Tongzhou district. Actually, it's Zhangjiawan, I think, right? And back in the days, you can find around 12 to 14 graves of Ryukyu people that has their tombs there, right? Most of them exchange students or even some petitioners or envoys, who encounter death in their journey or during their time in China, right? You can find even the names of these Ryukyu people, right? Some of them students who were studying and get sick, right? And this is very interesting as well, right? And so, for example, when I visit this place, it's very hard to find, right? It's actually, there's not so much tourism to this place. It's actually been hidden. So I needed to ask, for example, the Tongzhou Boguan, which is the Tongzhou Museum, right? And of course, this is the part of the Grand Canal that is really near to these Ryukyu tombs, right? And as you can see, the architecture of the place is like kind of like the rural area in China. But if you go straight, then you reach to this place, right? Right now it's only a park, and it's not well, like, as you can see, it doesn't look good, because for example, the story is that in 1937, due to the Japanese Empire invasion in Manchuria, the local community, in reaction of that attack, they destroyed the cemetery, right? And nowadays it looks like this, right? So I think this is probably a wake-up call for everyone, especially for the Uchinanchu, right? To get to know more about the history and the legacy, and maybe if you happen to be in Beijing or traveling maybe in the future, then you can come to this place and see and give tribute to the ancestors, right? So this is a video of how it looks right now. So as you can see, it's just a abandoned park, right? Yeah. The last monument that I want to share is the Ryukyu Embassy in Fuzhou, Liuchuguang, which was used basically as a housing. It housed visiting dignitaries, scholars, and officials that were sent by the Ryukyu Kingdom, right, to go to either Nanjing or Beijing, where are the capitals, right? So this place is very interesting as well because right now it's a museum, and it talks about the story of all these missions, the tributary missions, and also the exchange students or the scholars from Ryukyu Kingdom that came to China to study, right? I mean, you can see here, for example, these two with the typical Okinawan dress, and this is very interesting as well. You can find it in the museum, right? This is the, as Professor Cheng mentioned as well, right? The gods of good fortune, prosperity, and longevity, right? Full show, but the interesting thing is that they are here dressed with Okinawan bingata, right? Okinawan attires, right? Okinawan colors as well. And there is a registration of all the students that came since 15th century to this place, right? And nowadays it looks like this, right? Of course, it's a place that combines modernity and traditional, right? And you can also find in Fuzhou the famous turtle tombs, or that are also very spread in Fujian and also in Okinawa, right? So nowadays, to conclude, most of the Okinawans in China, there's still a lot of people from Okinawa in China, mostly in the main cities, right? Beijing, Shanghai, Nanjing. There is some activities they organize in order to promote Ryukyu culture. Most of them are studying Chinese as well, right? And there is some young professionals that are also working in China nowadays, right? Fujian and Okinawa, of course, they have these connections of sister provinces. In 1997, there is a lot of cultural, academic, and commercial exchange. There's a connection also between the universities, especially with the University of Ryukyu's Fuzhou University and Fujian Shifandashi or Fujian Normal University, right? There's even a university tournament of Eisa, which is the one of the dance in Okinawa and Fujian, and there's a lot of connection, right? And the capitals are also very connected, right? Fuzhou and Naha as sister cities, right? There's a lot of monument and historical relationship, and you can find a lot of, let's say, for example, this is in Naha. This dragon. You can find it in Naha, but it was donated by Fuzhou city, right? To conclude, right, the study of the relationship of the Imperial China and the Ryukyu Kingdom offers a great number of possibilities, right? But we should promote more this information, right? Because I think, at least for Uchinanchu outside Okinawa, or even in the same Okinawa, they are not that much aware of the historical connection of more than 500 years that both places have, right? Which is also related to going beyond the contemporary culture of Okinawa, right? You need to trace all the knowledge and information of centuries ago, right? Of course, like Ryukyu or the Ryukyu Kingdom society or Okinawa society is always changing, so I think this is something that we need to understand as well. But of course, I think the key element is to be aware of the historical heritage that we all have, right? We also need to think about the role of Okinawa in Asia in the 21st century, right? As like before, it was a place in where all the cultures convey, right, and promote peace for sure. Also, the role of the Uchinanchu World Network, right? As you know, there is more than 400,000 Okinawan descendants all across the world. So this is a network that is also connected, right? And last but not least, there is a possible bridge that we can build also between the Chinese culture and Okinawan culture in Peru, especially because you can find the largest Chinese community in South America, in Peru, and also the second largest Okinawan community in South America, also in Peru, right? So there is a lot of work to do in terms of connecting these two places. And that will be from my side. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jose. Thank you. It was really good to know about your own journey. That actually, from all our guests today, in your case, it seems that it's a bit deeper, since you are and you consider himself as an Uchinanchu from Peru. A human being, and a profound human being like you have even living together at the same time proudly different identities as Nikkei, Uchinanchu, Peruvian, and that's pretty cool, man. And we all admire you and the intercultural identity you have. Now it's a time finally to speak about the relationship, right? About China and Fujian with Okinawa. So you're gonna be on hands of Professor Robert Fija Kajiwara. And I have to say, he's an Uchinanchu musician, activist, and scholar based in Okinawa City. He's founder and president of the Peace for Okinawa Coalition, a nonprofit organization led by millennial Uchinanchu in order to promote Okinawan culture, history, language, and rights. He has a BA in history from the University of Hawaii at Manoa, MA in history from University of Nebraska at Kearney, and a PhD ABD in history from Manchester Metropolitan University. Professor Kajiwara, welcome.
Thank you, Rodrigo. Haigusio chuganabira, Fija Takamasa Ivin, Branaguchina, Ruatu Kajiwara, Tona, Weishao Chang, Itasarutu, Sabira. I'm Robert Kajiwara. Thank you so much for having me here today. I have to say thank you to the previous speakers, Professor Zhen and Natsuki and Jose. Special thank you to Jose for helping coordinate this event today. And of course, a big thank you to Tusanaje for hosting us. It's a pleasure to be here. First, let me apologize. I was preparing a special presentation for today's event. Unfortunately, my computer broke very suddenly, and I was not able to finish the presentation in time. So instead, I will be showing you a previous presentation I gave earlier this year at the University of Hawaii. Now, of course, the subject of China-Okinawa relations is a huge subject, and I cannot possibly talk about everything in just 15 minutes. However, I will do my best to provide a succinct overview. And if you have any desire to learn more, you can always check out our website, peaceforokinawa.org, where we are constantly creating new articles and videos and materials about Okinawa. Thank you, and I will share my screen now. Hi, I'm Robert Kajiwara, also known in Okinawa as Fija Takamasa. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. According to archaeologists, Luchuans have lived in the Luchu Islands for at least 32,000 years. Luchuans are recognized by the United Nations as an indigenous people group with their own unique history, culture, languages, values, and identity. A lot of foreigners, including Japanese, are under the mistaken belief that Luchuans are the minority population in Luchu today, but this is not even close to being true. Luchuans are easily the majority population of Luchu, numbering around 1.4 million living in the Luchu Islands, and another 700,000 or so living overseas. Geographically, Luchu is situated conveniently between China, Southeast Asia, Korea, Japan, and the Pacific, and has long had close trade relations and cross-cultural exchange with all of these regions. Today, a lot of Westerners and Japanese again have a mistaken belief that Okinawa and all of the Luchu Islands are geographically close to Japan, but actually they're not that close. In fact, Manila, Pyongyang, Seoul, and many major Chinese cities are geographically closer to Naha, the largest city of the Luchu Islands, than Tokyo is. China and Luchu have always had a particularly special and important relationship, and this will be the focus of my presentation today. According to the historic Chinese records, Emperor Qin Shi Huang sent out an expedition in search of the legendary elixir of immortality to what he referred to as the happy immortals living in the Eastern Islands. This is now believed to be a reference to Luchu. The expedition never returned to China, and it is unclear what happened to them, but it is believed they arrived not in Luchu, but in Japan to the north, where they lived out the remainder of their lives. The earliest known written mention of the name Luchu comes from the Book of Sui, published in the year 636 CE during the Tang Dynasty, though in this case, the Chinese characters are slightly different from the characters we use today. The Sui sent a party to Luchu, though evidence suggests they actually arrived in the Japanese island of Yaku or Yakushima, which is just south of Kyushu. During the Yuan dynasty, the Mongols under Kublai Khan twice tried to subjugate Luchu, first in the year 1272 and again in 1276, though Luchuans successfully expelled them. For this reason, Luchuans have never really considered the Yuan to be a true Chinese dynasty, but rather consider it an era in which China was under foreign rule, which would be very different from how the later Qing dynasty under Manchu rule would be perceived, because the Manchu more faithfully adapted to Chinese customs, which Luchuans were familiar with. The founding of the Ming Dynasty in 1368 proved to be a significant turning point in China-Luchu relations, which up until this time had been limited to informal trade and cross-cultural exchange. In the year 1372, the Ming court sent a delegation to Luchu and invited them to send representatives to the Ming capital of Nanjing, which Luchu did, and they formally requested to become a tribute state of China. Luchu became China's first formal sovereign tribute state, followed shortly after by Korea and much of Southeast Asia. It was only Luchu and Korea, however, that would remain consistent in maintaining the relationship until the late 19th century, when Japan invaded both countries and later even invaded China itself. Today, a lot of Westerners, as well as Japanese people, have a difficult time understanding the China-Luchu tributary relationship because it is vastly different from the Western colonial concept of vassal or tribute state. The relationship would perhaps more accurately be termed a sovereign tributary relationship, because under this arrangement, Luchu maintained its sovereignty and in fact had its sovereignty guaranteed and protected by China. A lot of Americans and Japanese like to talk about the China-Luchu relationship as if China had subjugated and oppressed Luchu, similar to how the United States and Japan has done within the last century. But we can see from the overwhelming amount of historical evidence that this was far from the truth. It was actually Luchu who was the driving force in maintaining this relationship. The China-Luchu relationship was consensual and mutually beneficial, can be described as like father and son, or like older brother and younger brother. It is important to point out that China never once violated Luchu's rights or sovereignty in any way. The China-Luchu tributary missions were very well documented in the official government records from both sides, spanning the courses of the Ming and the Qing dynasties. There were two basic trade aspects to this relationship, one being the formal presentation of tribute products to China. But even this was not a one-sided relationship, because Luchuans would present many gifts to China, and in return, China would present many gifts to Lu Chu. China always gave more to Lu Chu than what they received in order to demonstrate their vast wealth and generosity. Lu Chuans were extremely happy with this arrangement and sought to pay tribute to China as often as possible. Lu Chu paid tribute to China more frequently than any other nation. At one point, China's treasuries were actually being drained, causing China to politely request that Lu Chu and the other tribute states pay tribute less often. However, this request was not enforced, and Lu Chu managed to convince China to continue allowing them to pay their regular tribute every 2 years. The second profitable aspect of this relationship occurred in the form of the informal trade that happened alongside the formal procession. As a tribute state of China, Lu Chu gained access to China's huge network of trade partners. Lu Chu would trade its own domestic products such as lacquerware, agriculture, ocean products, sulfur, horses, and textiles to other nations in exchange for luxury items. They would then retrade some of those items to different nations at enormous profits, often hundreds of times more than what they paid. But these other nations were usually happy to pay this exorbitant price because it was difficult, if not impossible, for them to obtain these items any other way. This China-Lu Chu relationship was important for both sides, not only due to the trade it provided, but also for political and diplomatic reasons. The most important part of this relationship for China was the prestige it received by having Lu Chu as a sovereign tribute state. Having Lu Chu pay tribute to it was important, not in spite of the fact that Lu Chu maintained its sovereignty, but because it maintained its sovereignty. For a respected foreign nation like Lu Chu to willingly, freely, and eagerly acknowledge that China was the greatest nation in the world was a huge sign of respect for China and an indication that the rulers of China were doing a good job. This helped to legitimize China's rulers, which in turn provided stability, both domestically and in China's foreign affairs. Whenever a new Chinese emperor took the throne, it was expected that Lu Chu and all of China's sovereign tribute states would send an ambassador to formally recognize and congratulate the new ruler. If Lu Chu and the other sovereign tribute states refused to do so, it was not only an embarrassment, but it could indicate that the ruler was not truly legitimate and perhaps lacked the mandate of heaven. We can see that this was played out during the transition between the Ming and the Qing. The Qing dynasty was established in the year 1636 and captured the Ming capital of Beijing in 1644, though Lu Chu did not recognize the Qing until the year 1654, when they could finally be assured that the Qing were the new legitimate rulers of China and that their old friends, the Ming, who had treated them so well for hundreds of years, had now lost the mandate of heaven. During the mid-19th century, Japan began its process of industrialization. They created a modern Western-style military and desired to collect colonies similar to the way Western nations had been doing. In 1872, Japan began the process of forcefully annexing Lu Chu against the will of Lu Chuans. So Lu Chu attempted to defend themselves by requesting China's help. China at the time, however, was experiencing many problems of its own, both domestically and internationally. China attempted to negotiate a deal that would preserve Lu Chu's independence, but China was simply too weak at the time. The negotiations failed. And in 1879, Japan had completed its forced annexation of Lu Chu. Some Lu Chuan leaders fled in exile to China. During the First Sino-Japanese War, which started in 1894, Lu Chuans hoped and prayed for a Chinese victory, which would also mean the restoration of Lu Chu's independence. China, of course, lost, and at this point, Lu Chuans realized that China was simply too weak to help Lu Chu, and that they would have to find other ways of surviving under Japanese occupation. Nevertheless, Luchuans continued to hope and pray for the day that China would once again become strong enough to help Luchu break free from Japanese occupation and restore its independence. Luchu would remain under Japanese occupation until 1945, when it came under control of the US military. After World War II, all of Japan's other colonies were given back their independence, except for Luchu, which the US decided to keep for itself to use for military bases. Luchuans are well known for opposing the military, so in 1972, the US gave Luchu to Japan without a vote from Luchuans, and since then, Luchu has been under joint Japanese and US occupation. This is why a lot of Americans and Japanese tend to ignore or downplay the long history of close, friendly relations between China and Luchu, because it makes the US and Japan both look very bad in comparison. The United States and Japan often use the so-called threat of China in an attempt to justify the ongoing military occupation of Luchu. Again, though, the facts do not support this claim. The People's Republic of China has always officially recognized that Luchu was an independent country prior to Japan's forced annexation in 1879, and they have always supported Luchu's right to self-determination. Even to this day, the overwhelming majority of Luchuans do not consider China to be a threat, as evidenced by the fact that around 80 to 90% of the Luchu population is demanding a significant reduction or a complete removal of all American and Japanese military forces from the Luchu Islands. If China were really a threat, Luchuans would be begging the US and Japanese military to stay, not calling for their removal on a daily basis. It should be pointed out that the only countries ever to invade and occupy Luchu are Japan and the United States. Now, what about the issue of the Jiaoyu or Senkaku Islands? These small uninhabited islands in the East China Sea in between China and Luchu. Western and Japanese media and government officials love to criticize China's claim over these islands, but actually the historical evidence strongly indicates that the islands do rightfully belong to China. Luchu has never claimed the Jiaoyu Islands. The Luchuan, the Chinese, the Japanese, and the European historical records all indicate that these islands have always been considered Chinese territory prior to the start of Japanese imperialism during the late 19th century. Luchu was historically an international center of trade, finance, diplomacy, and cross-cultural exchange, and often mediated between various nations, including between China and other nations. A neutral, demilitarized, and independent Luchu in the 21st century could once again assume that role, leading to greater peace, stability, and prosperity in the Asia-Pacific region. A lot more could be said on this subject, but we're out of time for today, so I'll end here. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.
Thank you, Professor Kajiwara. Now, we would love to share with you guys some of the comments that you yourself wrote to us. First, Grace Win Yuan Toy from USA says, my mom's family is from Chuanchou, and that's family is from Putian in Fujian, although those roots are much more distant, and he identifies as Cantonese Hainanese. Would you have any information of Chuanchou's Chinese Jews? I believe that I may have those roots via my mom's family. Wow, what a diverse family. I don't know if we have some information, but I will continue. I will keep reading some other comments. Angel Shirota from Peru says, my family ancestors were from Fujian and they immigrated to Okinawa in the 13th century. His name was Tei Yisai. Please, can you have some information about him or some sites or books where I can find more information? Thank you. Well, and Angel, I would say that Nowadays, fortunately, we have some agencies and organizations specialized on searching your roots in China. So you can contact people like My China Roots, or you can go yourself to Guangdong province and see the overseas Chinese office, and you're gonna have some clues there. Then we have Michael Angel Marquez. Very good night and nice to everyone. I am delighted to be here present. Greetings from the city of Arequipa in Peru. That's great. Well, it seems like all our followers spent an amazing night with all of you guys, and now it's a time to be less serious. And Jose, I don't know if you want to add some words, but now it's a moment of the music, right, Jose? So
Yeah.
if you agree, let me invite our dear Natsuki Teruya to give us a performance.
Yeah.
If she agrees.
Yeah, just to give also some information, like today is the World Uchinanchu Day. So
Wow.
it's a day around the world where people celebrate the fact that we are connected thanks to Okinawa. And one of the key elements of we see in Fujian and also in Okinawa is the music, the culture, right? And the happiness of showing our the tribute to our ancestors, and also the happiness of living a meaningful life, right? So I think music is something that also connects us, and I think Natsuki, as the great musician, she can show us some Okinawan music as well. Yeah, Natsuki-chan, onegaishimasu.
Wow, it's my pleasure. I was moved now to listen their presentation. Very, I'm crying now. Okay, so I sing a song in Okinawa song. Ahabushi. いきます。The old song and なんていうのかな、セレモニー、ハッピーセレモニー。 Thank you.
Thank you, Natsuki-chan.
One or two, okay?
Yes, please. I don't know, Rodrigo, is it okay or?
Yeah, sure. One more, please.
Okay. じゃあ、豊か節。豊か節。The peaceful world.
Or yeah. Thank you, Natsuki-chan.
Thank you.
I think there is also some greetings from Okinawan in Shanghai. They also sent a song. I will like to share it with you. It's a very interesting song because it's a Okinawa song, right? Hana, but he used Chinese, right? So it's a very interesting song. So maybe since this is the music time, I can also share it. Can you see my screen? Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Let's listen to.
Hello to my fellow Uchinanchus around the world. Happy Uchinanchu Day. This is Keisuke and Takashi from Shanghai, China, bringing you a few Okinawan songs. Hope you guys enjoy. Our first song is Wanxin Hana.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think, Jose, uh, we are finishing our program. I don't know if you have something else to add, or any of our speakers. Great. It has been a wonderful night full of really important information, because as a close friend of mine who was texting me while she was watching this, the sooner we realize we have strong Asian ties in all Asia, the better we will understand Asianness, but humanness. So that's really important, and I hope this has been only the first time we have you guys. It has been really good. Thank you, Professor Chen, Professor Kajiwara, Professor Teruya. You're amazing. We love your music. And maybe other time gonna be a good opportunity to let Professor Chen and Professor Kajiwara perform something, because according to what we know, they also play some instruments. It would be nice. And actually, since Tusanaje project also accept other kind of non-academic content, maybe community content, we can have a night of Okinawan music. It would be amazing, and share with some Fujianese or Chinese music in general. And it's gonna be our humble symbol of brotherhood that we all have to have, not only in Asia, but also in our Latin American countries, and also inside Peru, uh, with our Nikkei community, Japanese descendants, and our Tucson community, Chinese descendants. Thank you, Jose, for sharing with us uh, your conception of all this table, but also your thinking, your feelings, because I know that this is very important for you, being gay, being a China lover, but China sinologist. And thank you all, guys. See you next time.
Thank you.